Your daily headlines powered by AI and reviewed by people you can trust. This is Neural Newscast.
Broadcasting from the Neural Newscast newsroom, I'm Andrew Lindbeck. Now, let's cover the latest political moves. President Donald Trump announces new tariffs on drugs, trucks, and kitchen cabinets, framing them as protection for U.S. manufacturers. I'm joined by Cassandra Joyce.
Trump announces new tariffs on prescription drugs, heavy trucks, and kitchen cabinets. The White House says the plan protects U.S. manufacturers from lower-cost imports and preserves factory jobs. Supporters call tariffs a tool to counter unfair trade practices and subsidize competitors abroad. Critics warn higher import costs can raise prices for consumers and squeeze small businesses that rely on components. Economists note tariffs can shift leverage in negotiations, but risk retaliation and supply chain disruptions. This move reflects one perspective in an ongoing debate over industrial policy, trade balance, and inflation.
Former FBI Director James Comey is indicted after public pressure from President Donald Trump, escalating tensions in Washington. Here's what Daniel Grove found.
Former FBI Director James Comey is indicted after President Donald Trump publicly urges prosecution. The Justice Department announces charges, intensifying a long-running confrontation between Trump and a one-time law enforcement chief he fired in 2017. Supporters of the move say Comey mishandled sensitive information and overstepped his authority. Critics call the indictment political retribution and a threat to DOJ independence. Both positions reflect broader debates over executive power, prosecutorial discretion, and accountability. Legal experts note the case now shifts to the courts, where evidence and due process, not politics, determine outcomes.
Legal analysts say the indictment of James Comey deepens a nationwide debate about Justice Department independence and accountability. Monica Kellen joins us with the latest.
Former FBI Director James Comey faces indictment, marking a stark escalation in U.S. political conflict. Prosecutors accuse Comey of misconduct tied to his tenure leading the Bureau, though full charges and evidence remain under seal. The case follows years of fierce clashes over the Russia probe and 2016 election decisions. Legal experts say the indictment could test norms protecting law enforcement independence. Supporters call it overdue accountability. Critics warn of politicized justice.
Virginia authorities arrest a suspect in a death threat against Delegate Kim Taylor, prompting increased protections at the Capitol. Let's hear from Sarah Wheaton.
Virginia authorities arrest a suspect in a death threat against Delegate Kim Taylor, a top Republican from Petersburg. Police take Michael Ray Strawmeyer into custody. Officials from both parties condemn the threat and call for civility in politics. The arrest follows a surge of harassment and violence reported after the recent campaign season, raising alarms about public safety. Taylor continues her duties while working with law enforcement. The House leadership emphasizes that threats won't deter lawmakers. "We will protect our members," the Virginia State Police say. Investigators have not released charging details or a court date. Sarah Wheaton, reporting.
Let's take a look at world news. Israeli strikes on Sanaa kill civilians, including children, Houthi authorities say. Nathaniel Cohen joins us with the latest.
Israeli strikes on Sanaa kill at least 9 people, including 4 children, Houthi authorities say. The raids hit the rebel-held Yemeni capital following a Houthi drone attack that wounded 22 in Eilat, Israel. Rescue crews in Sanaa clear rubble and search damaged buildings. The Houthis, backed by Iran, have launched missiles and drones toward Israel during the Gaza war. Israel targets sites it links to those attacks. Regional tensions widen as cross-border exchanges intensify. A Houthi statement calls the deaths a crime and vows a response.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addresses the UN as the Gaza war nears 2 years. More countries recognize Palestinian statehood, deepening Israel's diplomatic isolation in some capitals. The UN adds dozens of companies to a blacklist over alleged ties to Israeli settlements, a move with trade implications. Assata Shakur dies in Cuba, closing a decades-long exile that divided opinion in the U.S. Laura Navarro reports on this story.
Assata Shakur, a U.S. fugitive and former Black Liberation Army member, dies in Cuba at 78. She spends more than 4 decades on the communist-run island after fleeing U.S. authorities in the late 1970s. Shakur is the godmother of rapper Tupac Shakur and a symbol of Cold War-era exodus. The FBI lists her as a most wanted terrorist and offers a $2 million reward for her capture. Her death closes a long chapter in U.S.-Cuba tensions over extradition and political asylum.
A Dubai sex trade ring boss is detained after an investigation highlighted exploitation of vulnerable women. Turning to Amelia Richardson for details.
Police detained Charles Mwesigwa, the alleged head of a Dubai sex trade ring exploiting vulnerable women. Investigators say he recruits women with false job offers, then forces them into prostitution in upscale districts. Authorities describe a tightly controlled network that confiscates passports and uses threats and debt bondage. Victim support groups urge broader raids and faster repatriation. Police vow more arrests and promise relentless action, citing ongoing cross-border cooperation.
The UN says companies tied to settlements may face investor and government scrutiny after the blacklist expansion. Turning to the economy now. Amazon agrees to pay $2.5 billion to resolve claims it misled Prime customers into subscriptions, a major consumer settlement. Let's hear from Ethan Wells.
Amazon agrees to pay $2.5 billion to resolve claims it misled Prime customers into unwanted subscriptions. U.S. regulators say roughly 35 million people could be eligible for refunds. The settlement covers practices that made canceling Prime difficult and enrollment too easy. Amazon denies wrongdoing but says it will update disclosures and cancellation flows. Refund details and timelines will come from the Federal Trade Commission. Consumers should watch for notices and verify eligibility before submitting any claim. This is Ethan Wells for Neural Newscast.
This is NNC Neural Newscast.
From gadgets to breakthroughs, here's what's new. The FAA restores some certification authority to Boeing, a step aimed at speeding deliveries under closer oversight. Kara Swift is here with more details.
The FAA restores Boeing's power to certify some jets, a key step for recovery. The agency now lets Boeing approve certain 737 MAX and 787 Dreamliner models under tighter oversight. This speeds deliveries, reduces airline delays, and stabilizes supply chains. It also pressures Boeing to prove safer, higher quality manufacturing at scale. The 737 MAX drives short-haul fleets. The 787 enables long, fuel-efficient routes. Regulators keep final say on higher-risk systems. One official says the goal is rigor, not shortcuts. This is Kara Swift for Neural Newscast.
Breakthroughs and findings from the scientific world. Scientists confirm the Moon is slowly moving away from Earth, a reminder of long-term celestial dynamics. Nathaniel Cohen joins us with the latest.
The Moon drifts a little farther from Earth every year. Scientists track this with laser ranging, bouncing pulses off reflectors left by Apollo astronauts and Soviet landers. The data show the distance increases by about 3.8 centimeters annually. Tidal friction slows Earth's spin and transfers energy to the Moon's orbit. Over millions of years, days lengthen slightly, while lunar eclipses become marginally less frequent and longer in between.
Updates on climate and conservation. A report finds weaknesses in Los Angeles warning systems slowed evacuations during recent wildfires, prompting calls for upgrades. Let's hear from Samuel Green.
A new independent report finds Los Angeles wildfire evacuations were slowed by weak alert systems. Investigators say flawed policies, aging equipment, and powerful winds limited warnings as flames spread. Sirens and cell alerts reached too few residents, and some neighborhoods received mixed or late messages. The report urges clearer evacuation protocols, faster multi-language alerts, and upgraded hardware before next fire season. Officials pledge fixes and targeted drills. One recommendation: practice evacuation routes regularly, the Los Angeles Emergency Management Department says. Officials plan updates.
For a sports update, here's what's new. Medical examiners say the NFL headquarters shooter was posthumously diagnosed with chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Celebrity news and pop culture highlights. Jennifer Lawrence calls the situation in Gaza a genocide while speaking at a film festival, reigniting debate over celebrity comments. I'm joined by Lydia Holmes.
Jennifer Lawrence calls Israel's war in Gaza no less than a genocide and says she feels terrified. The Oscar winner speaks at the San Sebastian Film Festival while promoting Die, My Love. She answers repeated questions on Gaza and free speech in the U.S., even as a moderator tries to end them. Lawrence warns that silencing debate undermines democracy and urges space for dissent during ongoing violence in Gaza. This is Lydia Holmes for Neural Newscast.
That concludes our headlines for this hour. For full stories and updates, visit neuralnewscast.com and follow us.
You've been listening to Neural Newscast, AI-powered, human-reviewed. Keep up with us on X, Bumble, and Facebook, and dive deeper at neuralnewscast.com. Neural Newscast merges real and AI-generated voices to ensure rapid, high-quality news production. Our content is created using advanced AI models and rigorously reviewed by humans for accuracy and fairness. Despite efforts to prevent AI errors, occasional inaccuracies may occur. We encourage listeners to cross-check critical details with trusted sources. Read about our AI transparency at nnewscast.com.